what's going on and see where it is that they are getting in and figure it out from there.
There is, you know, on the way, on the far side in that corner, under there, there's a place, there's like a big empty space. Part of attitude or whatever.
Well, I mean, as someone who is a road service specialty, he's going to look at.
One comes out to see the show, give us some support. It seems to be getting a lot of attention. I don't know how that's translating to ticket sales just yet, but it'll be a lot of great duets from Broadway, from all kinds of shows, everything from classics to recent things. We will be having regular work sessions, generally from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on every Saturday. We have a 11 o'clock rehearsal, so we do 2 hours before then. So if you're available at all, not a lot of painting just yet, but some construction. Next weekend we may have a lot of painting if you're available. So if you can come down from 9 to 11, definitely that time frame is set because we have rehearsal at 11, so you're not going to be here all day. We would appreciate any help that you can offer. Otherwise, please make sure that you get tickets, tell your friends, and hopefully this will be a big success.
Okay.
We're back live.
Okay, and we're back live. Okay, the internet has come back. All right. Just quickly, it is actually 4 weeks from tomorrow. Sorry, Steve, it's 4 weeks from tomorrow. Okay, all right. Important for all of you members to know that members do pay a reduced price ticket. It's not, when you're talking about shows that run 3 weekends, then we get a free member ticket for that, but we have a reduced price ticket deal when it is a 1 weekend show. So, Robert, anything about booking?
$10. Just send an email to Players Guild News, and your member ticket is $10. Tell us what show you want to see, and we'll take care of it.
Everybody heard that, right? All you at home, wave. You heard that? Okay, good. All right. Of course. Yes, I'm sorry? Yeah, one second. Just the show is fully cast and crewed, but they will be looking for people to act as house managers and ushers. The cast list was in the prompter. And as you see, the set is in process, and Mark Leland is going to come up and tell us something about a special promotion. Well, I'm not going to say any more. You tell everybody.
Yes. Well, I've been talking about this for a while, but I go to Dante's once a week. So I spoke to the owner, Yuri, and so we're going to do a Valentine's Day weekend special, dinner and a show. So if the people buy tickets to come see 2 by 2 by Broadway, they can go to dinner that weekend and show their ticket stubs or receipt, and they will get free desserts. And so he's going to market it there. We're going to start to market this. I just got the okay today, so we'll start to get some flyers out, or I mean some social media content out for that. Great.
Okay, great. Yeah, which is, one second, which is a fun thing that we should look to do for other shows as well. Look for ways to cross-promote. Yeah, Hal, you had a question?
What if they go there and they don't know about the show? Can we give them maybe like a discount on tickets for that? You know what I mean?
That was, hi, come on in. That was not brought before the board, but maybe that's something we could instantaneously have a conversation about? Maybe.
Just to make it
Yeah, okay.
That weekend, and they can, you know, I'm sure Dante's is going to be promoting it, so they'll know about the show.
Yeah, so what Howell just said, for those of you at home, is perhaps for those who just show up at Dante's that weekend to have dinner, perhaps there would be a way to cross-promote so that they then get something of a discount, something for buying a ticket to come see the show, which is Valentine's weekend, 14th, 15th, 16th. All right, can we move on? Next thing? Yeah? Okay, so my show.
Note on that while sorry to move on. We can
But
do
first.
that. They just have to find a way to make sure that it's real, but yes, we can do that.
Yeah, we just never, it was never brought to us, we never discussed
Well,
it.
that
but
part of
yeah,
it was there, but we
yeah.
do give discounts to season subscribers and things.
We could do
and
that.
members.
See, look at that.
can do that.
You ask and it's instantly available. Okay, may I? That's okay? All right, okay. So The Normal Heart is cast, and we are also in rehearsal. We do have one open role that I am casting about furiously to fill. So we're working on that. We should have that. It wasn't in the prompter because we actually just filled a couple of roles. I do have the cast. If anybody would like to know who is in our cast, I'm happy to announce that. Other than that, we can just send it out in a blast. We're good to go on? We don't need another cast? We do have several new people joining us. They're actually out of the 9 cast members, 4 are new people, 2 of whom are from New York City. So they are schlepping out here to rehearse and do the show. So, and I could mention a couple of people who are here who are in the show. Could I? Can I do that? Yeah. Well, Howell is one of our actors. He's going to be playing Ben Weeks, the attorney, and sitting somewhere behind me is Jody, who is going to be playing Dr. Emma Bruckner. So those are 2 of our folks. Very exciting. Okay. Next, Carol. Carol Fisher, would you like to come up and tell everybody about your auditions? Ma'am? Desperate Measures coming up?
Hi, we're going to start auditioning for Desperate Measures in February. I believe it starts February 23rd. 23rd, 24th, and then we'll have callbacks the next weekend. If you can't make any of those dates, give me a call. We can work something out. Please bring music ready to sing in the correct key. We will have an accompanist for you. Please don't bring a track, and please don't sing a cappella. We need to hear you sing with a piano. I will be giving you sides to read at the audition, and we'll probably be giving you some music to look at and possibly sing. There's 5 roles, 3 men, 3 women. The 2 women are in their 20s and 30s. They can look anyway, except that they have to have similar body types, not exactly, but they have to be mistaken one for the other in the dark. So, one can't be like 6 feet and the other one's 5 feet. We have the hanging judge, who's can be 50s, 60s. We have the good old boy sheriff, handsome guy, 30s, possibly early 40s. And we have the priest, and he plays a whole bunch of different parts. He's Irish. It's just a fun, funny romp of a show. So please come down and audition. Thanks.
Lois or Robert, do you want to say something about Marshall Playwright Showcase?
You're the producer.
We're
you're the producer.
Yeah, we're receiving scripts and just
Well,
simple.
that's about what's happening right now. We're receiving scripts, and the readers are reading and judging which scripts would be good for the show.
Who are the readers?
It's me, Jonathan, is anybody else? You? That's it?
That's the 3.
Just 3 of us, okay. Yes, and so that's as far as we've gone now, and we will let you know what else is happening next time, okay.
All right, so news about the building, our wonderful premises here. We have received a substantive analysis and specifications for repair replacement of the exterior doors from Steve Mould, and the board is going to meet with Steve Sunday night via Zoom in order to get a greater understanding of the document that he put together, with the idea then that we can send this out to several contractors to get bids on that. It may be, more to come on this, it may be that we will face a significant challenge with cost, depending upon how it all goes with who quotes on what and what is recommended. So stay tuned. So if you have a disguise and robbing a bank is not outside your purview, then we may be asking you to do that, Just saying. All right, what's that? Yes, the challenge is, no. The challenge is finding them, applying for them, qualifying for them, and having them be granted to us. Many of these grants, they get a lot of people applying, and so you may do everything right and still they go, gee, no, sorry, we're not giving you money. So we do have a team that's working on grants, but it's a long-term process. We need the doors now, and that's part of the challenge. That's part of the challenge. Okay, all right.
Comment in the
Yes, sir.
back. Yes, grants are incredible. We need to really make that a huge focal point of our organization to make sure that we get money in so that we have a base for long term and we don't have to rely on each show to constantly produce the required amount of money so that we can keep our little doors open. Okay, I'm done.
So,
Rachel?
the committee has met, and we have started that process. We have some,
And that is in the agenda. When I get to that, would you like to come up and speak to that? That would be great. Yes? Okay, all right, okay, good. All right, so, I love you, Robert, but it's not as easy as it sounds, all right? Nothing is, right? Okay, all right. We are setting up an appointment with a pest control company that is a specialist in rodents, because it has been discovered that squirrels have thought this was a lovely place to live up in the attic. So we're going to be working on that. Boxes of costumes have been found to make lovely homes for some squirrel families. Yeah, so Diane and I are on that, okay? Steve and Dan are also working on a proposal to install a storage container in the parking lot at the rear, because obviously we do, two. Oh, it's up to two, we're getting two. Okay, cool. Because we need places to store furniture and all kinds of stuff so that we're not constantly scrounging trying to find the things we need for setting up shows. All right, we're also going to develop a list of interior and exterior projects. Clear that many things need doing, and we need a list so we can prioritize and figure out just how many banks we have to rob in order to fund that. Major laughter in the room. Okay, we'll also be looking to get new signage so that the sign that's at the top of Moore for the parking lot there, so that that's reflective and easy to roll in and out. We need signage once the new doors, if we get new doors, are put up, signage that says, this is not an entrance. How many of you have been rehearsing a show or sitting in the audience watching a show or on stage and people are trying to walk in or actually walking in through that door? And then they go, oh, right, so we have to fix that. All right, other stuff, pool parking lot. The town does not have a working lighting unit, contrary to rumor. They also don't seem to be particularly interested in borrowing a unit as we did once a couple of years ago from another town. So I did have some back and forth with them, and they said that they would give us permission. I said, I'll buy them to install on the side that's the pool side as you go down the hill, that we could install flush-mounted solar units. And we'll see how that works. I haven't ordered them yet because the ground is frozen, so obviously, but as soon as things start to warm up a little, we'll get those in play and see if that helps to light the way, since obviously getting a true lighting fixture down there is not likely to happen anytime soon. All right, what else? I said that. Large screen TV. There will be a large screen TV on that wall sometime really soon. Suzanne volunteered because the time to paint the wall is now, she volunteered to commandeer a helper and get that wall repainted. And Robert has looked into having Best Buy, one sec, Carol, I see you, having Best Buy deliver and mount the unit for us. Big, heavy thing, better to have the experts do it. Yes, Carol?
Where is it going to be mounted? Because if you're doing a show, you don't want it mounted down toward that door.
No, it's going to be mounted in
There's
such
an outlet over there.
there's an outlet there. It will be.
People sometimes use this area over there to block.
It will be mounted on something that allows us to move it up, move it down, tilt it. It will be properly mounted so that it will not be in the way when space is needed there.
But it could be intrusive on a set.
it's flush against the walls.
No. But let's say you're doing a period piece and you have this big television set right there.
Well,
You'll have to work, we'll
we'll have to work around it.
yeah.
we'll have to, that,
Unless you see another place where to put it. I mean, it doesn't work
Yeah.
over there, and you certainly don't want it here. That's kind of our only. No, the
No.
lobby is a stalemate when people come under the tickets. Nobody can
there's,
move,
there,
nobody
yeah,
can anything.
there's not enough space in the lobby.
Of course.
And then just put a curtain right over it.
Of course.
Wait, yeah, so that is something that we could do if there's a need to. Yeah, yeah. But the idea behind having that is to be able to do several things. One is, audience is sitting here starting some people at 7:30 for an 8 o'clock show, and they got nothing going on. So this gives us an ability to promote upcoming shows, to showcase some of the people who are in the current show, to even at times maybe use that as part of the show, scenery. Gives us the opportunity to do a lot of stuff. So we have decided that this would be a good idea.
Because I know with my show, I don't want to I'm in the Old West, I don't want television.
Well,
Well,
it's not going to be on.
It's not going to be on, it would be black at that point. Well,
Action going on over here.
then we'll cover it. We'll cover it with something. We'll cover it with something, which is probably a good idea anyway. We'll look into that, getting a cover. Maybe it's just a plain, maybe a plain curtain to cover it up. We will take care of it. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay. Hold on. Financials, the grant committee has met. Rachel, would you like to come up and tell folks what we have started?
Okay, so the grant committee, we've met. We've talked about what's been done in the past. We've talked about some initiatives that we're putting into place and we're starting to look at. We also have some resources that are friends of members here. We're reaching out to them, people who know how to write grants, who do it for a living, and especially they focus on historic buildings and cultural assets. So we're still looking for resources that might focus on the theatrical side of things, but we're starting off with what we have here. We have a great building leased with the town, and we're starting to build off of that for grants. So some things that we'll be sending out soon. Claudia mentioned a list of everything that needs to be done. So we're looking to Steve and Danny to help provide that list so that we can start working on that. I think that might be it right now, but I just wanted to let you all know that we have met and we have some things cooking that we're following up on. But again, to Claudia's point, it's a long process, but we're going to make it happen.
Yeah, and we have 3 people on the committee, one being Rachel, Terry Koust, and Stacy Beth Block, working on this. So, and we also now have a lot of stuff that we have worked on. A couple of years ago, we had this big effort. Steve, remember the big effort? For this huge grant that we did not get, but experience is a great teacher, so we have a lot of materials that had been prepared for that, so we're a lot smarter than we were when we first started that process, and that will help.
That does exist.
Oh, yeah.
The one from
Oh, yeah.
Leonia does exist with everything
Oh,
that
yeah,
they priced
Yeah,
out.
we've got it all. Okay, what else do we have here? And as you've heard before, we need to figure out ways, obviously grants are one way, but we need to figure out ways to solicit donations from individuals as well as from local companies. I'm bound, bless you, I'm bound and determined that we're going to be able to find some people who will partially underwrite our shows, which would mean, say, that a local dentist practice would perhaps give $1,000 and would be listed in the program and advertised on that screen as a sponsor for this show that you're seeing here tonight. If we look, there are going to be people who will do something like that, and maybe we offer them 2 levels of, $500 or $1,000. Imagine if every show we did could get a couple of $1,000s from local businesses that in part support us, and they get the bennies that come from that. Ellen?
Actual fundraising committee?
No, but there should be.
Yeah, there should be, yes.
Know anybody?
I'll talk to you afterwards.
Okay.
That sounds to me like we need an ongoing.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Fundraising committee
Yes.
that focuses on that, should run
Yes, ma'am.
adjacent to the.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Okay. I also think, and boards discuss this, and, we have a lot of good ideas, but sometimes it's hard to just, a big list to get so many things done. We have to find a way to solicit donations on a regular basis. And one way, and forgive me if I mentioned this to you at our November meeting, I may have, I saw a show in the city where the venue where it was held literally had, when you went to leave, they didn't give you the program until, this is Bedlam, and if you know Bedlam Theater, they never give you the program until you leave. You went to the desk on your way out, you had to go there, you got the program, and here is a little box, and all you do is dip your credit card in, and it was $25 for the building, not for the theater company, because they were, being hosted there. We could do that. We could have one of those little boxes, and nobody has to make a decision about how much. Just, boom, dip your card, $25. It's never going to take more than that. Boom, done. There are things that we could do like that. There are things that we could do like that. So, yes, a fundraising committee would be a wonderful thing. I'll wash your car every week for the rest of my life. Okay. Yes.
I just was wondering, in one of the last meetings, did you all discuss, we talked about a new soundboard, and Mark said he knew someone who had wireless mics and everything that we could borrow.
Mark, do you want to come up and speak to that? No. Yes, no.
We spoke about it at the last meeting, but we were just talking about a new board would be $400 or $500. That would be significantly better than this one. And
Okay.
Erin from Roundtable has offered us to borrow her wireless mics anytime. It's also
Okay, I don't think that's coming through here for the people, for the people at home in TV land. That's why I asked her to come up here. Can you? Sure. Okay. Hold on, folks, here we come.
I was involved with Toxic, and I know that Ellen was going nuts up there with the sound booth, and that board is just so old, it can't handle the wireless mics. So we need a more powerful, more efficient board, and they're inexpensive, $400 or $500, and we can get 12 channels. And then my friend Erin from Roundtable has a dozen brand new wireless mics that she's happy to lend us as long as she's not using them. So if we needed them for a musical, for the actors to sing over the orchestra, it would be helpful. So, yeah, that's something that we probably should do.
Do we need anything else with it? I know before.
Well, the board is like a mixer. I mean, the board.
So we don't need speakers or anything?
No, we wouldn't need speakers, additional speakers unless we needed special.
I'm not a sound engineer, but I know Tony Pompa has volunteered to come in and really evaluate it and say, this is, yeah.
He said he could probably fix that,
Yeah.
not fix it, but with the new board, he could work that too, so.
Right.
And that's a prime example of where somebody out there would donate that. But we have to ask, we have to reach out. Rather than always saying, oh, we'll buy it, we'll buy it, we'll buy it. There are people out there who, that's an advantage for them, business-wise, when you donate something like that. Just saying.
Could it be just, and maybe it isn't, but as simple as sending an email blast to the membership saying, look, we are trying to raise $500 for a new soundboard. It's a tax write-off. I bet we could get that in a week.
Well, it's a tax, if you itemize, it's a tax write-off, and if you are a business, obviously, then it's also a tax write-off.
Say, hey, can you send $25 for a new board? I would.
I agree, yeah.
Board? Like the idea? We'll have to talk about, yeah. So for those of you out there in TV land, it's been suggested that we could send a blast to people and say, hey, we need $500 for a new soundboard, and just solicit donations to cover that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of ways in which to raise money, and we can sit down
Yep.
and discuss it.
Absolutely.
Simple things that,
Yep.
other theaters do, that,
Yep.
are.
Which is why, as you said, we need a fundraising committee. Okay, all right, great, thank you. All right, so other stuff. Membership meetings. The board has just discussed and decided that we need to make a change to this. Does anybody here really want to attend another meeting? Come on, raise your hands high. Yeah, mostly not. If you work, you do a lot of meetings, and there's no sex appeal to have a meeting, right? We hate to admit it, but it's true. So we want our members here enjoying community, socializing, togetherness, and entertainment. So we want to provide more opportunities for people to perform, to practice stagecraft, to learn costumes, stage management, all that kind of good stuff. So what we discussed is we're going to now, going forward, minimize, if not eliminate, the business part of the meeting, because we can send you in an e-blast, we can put in the prompter, here's where we stand financially. Robert has all the numbers. Here's the latest about this. Here's the cast list for that. You don't need to come here to hear that stuff. Just like we said, we don't need to send you, you don't need to hear the minutes, we'll send them to you. All right, so we have just had that conversation and said, yeah, what we're going to do going forward is focus on socializing and providing entertainment in the form of workshops or promotion for the next show up if it is far enough along in the rehearsal process to actually give you a taste. And as I think, Robert, was it you who mentioned how great it was to see the scenes of a scene or two from Lovesick some months back. It really made you feel like, oh, not only do I want to see the show, but I want to tell other people about it. So we need to do that.
Jonathan came in and did a really nice
Right? Yep.
model.
Yeah,
When people do
absolutely.
that, it was great.
Yeah, a piece of something from Romeo and Juliet in costume. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, ma'am, Miss Diane.
It involves a change of the bylaws or guidelines, I don't know which one, but it.
Yes. Yes, and we,
That means that the whole organization has to vote on it, is that what I'm?
yes, and we reviewed what it says in the bylaws. We're not talking about nothing in the way of, so there might be like 15 minutes of a membership meeting of anything that's new that has to be said. And then most of it is going to be devoted to socializing, coffee and performance, entertainment, because that's what's the fun stuff and draws people here. We also talked about the idea that we could then, did we not, that we could invite strangers, outside world, people who are not members to come and see whatever it is we're putting on the stage that night.
Well,
It
we
takes some
actually-
work, but, you know,
We have 2 email lists. We have an email list for the members, which is about 115 names, 120 names. And we have an e-blast, which is 1,800 names. So the thought along this line was if we're doing something that's entertaining, if we're doing something that's promoting the theater, can we only invite members to these meetings. Can we expand that to that 1,800 list to see who would come and start to get to know us, who maybe only know us as a production. They come in and they see a show, because that's really the only entry they have into the theater unless they're auditioning. So, yeah, can we meet them in a more casual, fun moment?
yeah, absolutely. They come and see us, they're going to see stuff they like, we hope. Steve?
I'm concerned about losing some content from the meeting, because, yeah, we do put the prompter out, we do put emails out, but that can be easily missed. And sometimes for business of the theater, reiterating things in many forums, like at the meeting, and then again in the prompter, and then again in emails, gives us more opportunity for people to actually get that information. Because they might miss it one place, or they might, miss it another place. It seems, I understand that the biggest issue really is engagement of our membership.
Attendance, attendance. Look who's here. How many meetings have we had like this?
I feel like sometimes that we rely on technology and media a little too much. We send an email out and that's it. So there was a time when I was on the board where people were assigned groups of people to call the week before the meeting. Just, have a chat with maybe 5, 6, 8 people, give them a reminder, have a voice on the phone. It's an engagement thing. Because, a lot of times we just send the email out and then that's it. Oh, well, we sent the email out. How come nobody's coming? But we're not really reaching out. I mean, email is not reaching out. It's not actively reaching out. So it does take a lot of effort. I understand that. I've been on the board myself. But I think those personal connections, those people
I hear you.
calling is important. And if we take too much of the business of the group out of the meetings, obviously we don't want to go on and on and on. Like there were times when we would read the minutes from the previous meeting and we go through the whole thing and we'd want to shoot us. But some of the business of the group is important to have at the meeting. And then the minutes of the meeting go into the prompter and stuff. But that engagement piece is
Okay, but we can't engage with people if we can't get them here. And we think one of the things we believe gets people here is the opportunity to see and participate in theater, which is what we do and who we are.
But I think the other aspect is that we really need to put, and I know that there hasn't been no effort at all, but we really need to try to engage our workshop program.
But that's exactly what we're talking about, yeah.
Because that, I feel, and then, COVID really killed us on this for a while. So, but getting back to having real workshops where people can try little things is super important, so.
And that's exactly what we're talking about doing, yeah. And the idea of calling people is great. Have you tried to get anyone on the phone anytime recently? Yeah, you leave it on voicemail that they don't listen to. It's not that we shouldn't do it, but there are also applications now that will actually make that personal phone call. Maybe we don't, because we're all busy doing a lot of stuff, maybe that's something to explore and see if that could work for us to make that additional personal touch. Well, but people, it's, you know what I'm saying? We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. Apropos of which, the board decided we will not have a membership meeting in February. Okay, we are canceling that meeting. That is the week right after Joanne's show, 2x2 by Broadway. And for March, we are moving the meeting up 1 week. Instead of the third Thursday, it will be the second Thursday. The reason why is that regular third Thursday is the night before we open the Normal Heart. So we will have it the week before, but we will also show you some pieces of the show in the way of a workshop/entertainment. All right? And then we do have something for April. And Alice, we have just agreed with Alice that she is going to provide a workshop for the April meeting. All right? So more on that to come. May and June we will figure out. I already said that. Okay. All right, so other than that, we would be up to announcements. Stacy is not here to talk about her improv, but you know she does that. Is there anything else in the way of an announcement? What? Evidently. Whatever. Announcements? What? I didn't miss nothing. No. Okay, all right. All right, so if there are no announcements, we're going to close the meeting, and you are now going to be treated to a presentation by Rachel and Ellen, the story of Romeo and Juliet from the concept of the show to the ultimate realization of that. So we're going to move our chairs out of the way and give them the floor. And thank you, everybody. All right, we're good? We're good. All right. Oh, okay.
You can have mine.
Leave a couple of chairs. All right, we'll leave a couple of chairs. 1, 2, and we'll take these. Yeah. Gloves on the floor.
I'm nervous. Carol, come on. Come on, Carol. You're the producer. Come on down. You're part of this. You can't get out of it. Come on.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll just pick not walk over the microphone cord.
Yeah, you're in this. Come on. Do I?
I'll be the silent partner.
I have my little notes here.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark. I feel like this is NPR. Okay.
You're the director.
Okay, so, Romeo and Juliet. From the start, why Shakespeare? I think that's where I really wanted to start. Shakespeare allows for incredible creativity, right? I mean, you have, there's so many things you can do with Shakespeare, and not just directing, but artistic design, any design elements, right? Any approach, any vision. Shakespeare just allows you to really stretch your wings. And so that's why I chose Shakespeare. Why did I choose Romeo and Juliet? Knowing the theater here, being a part of the theater for 10 years now, I wanted something that had name recognition, right? If you're going to do Shakespeare, in a theater that hasn't done a lot of Shakespeare, you need something that people recognize, not only name recognition, but they know the story. Everyone knows the story. So they know the name of the play. Oh, I've heard of that. And they know that everyone dies in the end. They know the story, right? And so that was really important to me, because if we're reintroducing Shakespeare to this theater and to this audience after a while away, it was important that would hopefully draw people in. So that's why Shakespeare. Also, there are no rights, so we saved money on that. And then Romeo and Juliet, I had never directed it before. It wasn't up until this point even my favorite Shakespeare play, but I chose it. Name recognition, everyone knows the story. I was hoping to draw people in. And Romeo and Juliet, when I started thinking, for me, I wanted to do Romeo and Juliet in a way that it had never been done before. So that's obviously impossible. But I really wanted to explore the darker themes, and I felt that Romeo and Juliet was a good vehicle to do that, because I wrote this down. It's a meme on Facebook and everywhere. Romeo and Juliet is not a love story. It's a 3-day relationship between a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old that caused 6 deaths. So, right? I mean, really, that's what it is. So let's dive into that, right? And so that really got me interested in the background of the story. Why did people feel like they had to make these decisions as they did in this amount of time, this quickly? What kind of pressure were they under, and were they under at the time? And then that led me into researching Verona in the 13th century, and the violence that was part of that culture, and really started me thinking about these darker themes and pulling those out. Made it very interesting to me, and that was my pitch to the board when I said I want to do this. And Carol, who was my producer, kept saying, it's a love story. That's central to the story. And I agree, but which love story? Is it Romeo and Juliet? Is it Mercutio and Romeo? Is it between Tybalt and Juliet? Which love story? It could be Paris and Juliet. That's right. There are so many love stories in this play that my feeling is that's what created that 3-day tempest, right? All of these love stories. And so yes, that's why I chose Romeo and Juliet. That was my initial vision. I have some notes here. I wanted dirt and blood. I didn't get either of them, but I really wanted it rough. And so when I went to my costume designer, I said rough, and she's like, what do you mean rough? I said, so if any of you saw it, you saw in the costumes, I tried to only use fabrics that would have been found, sort of, back in that time. A lot of the hems were raw hems. I really wanted it to feel raw, right? Yeah, and one thing that I kept saying to my actors and to my designers and everyone, I want to explore the theme of fate versus free will. Were these characters acting of their own free will, or was it predestined, to happen? It was horrible. Well, yeah, between quite a few of them. So that's why I chose Romeo and Juliet. That was my initial vision. And so then we get to pre-production, right? So we went up in November, but we started pre-production in early May. So I remember, this is one of those things where it's like, whoa, I gotta pivot here. I was talking to Ellen because she was my mentor and she was also doing decor. So I had been talking to Ellen early on about this kind of gothic castle, one set thing, dark, right? And so we get to our first pre-production meeting with Gerard, who built our set, designed and built it. And he goes, okay, so Romeo and Juliet, let's do it at the Globe. I was like, okay. Sure, you have to respect your designers, right? You have to allow them artistic license. So I thought, okay, how do I pivot? Now this is a 16th century theater troupe putting on a 14th century play. How do I make that happen? And so everything that was on that stage, we thought about that. We thought about the fact that there are 200 years between the Globe and Romeo and Juliet. And how does that translate into costumes, into set decoration? And then we'll get into character development. But I wanted Ellen up here to talk about decorating that set. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it was certainly about, almost as hard as dealing with Carol's set flying in winter. But when Gerard talked about the globe, like, okay, so let's go find pictures of the globe. And what does the globe have? Which means that, and so we're looking, and which is why we decided to take the set and make it all the way to the walls, because the globe has 2 other doors that they use. So we had to, all right, let's do that. But then Gerard is putting up this set, and there's a lot of walls. Now, how do you make these walls interesting?
All that
Like,
blank space.
There's all that
Yeah.
blank space. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So, you know, looking at the ideas as to what the Globe did for some of these, for their Shakespeare shows, and they all were coming in with these, with these plaques and these raised art pieces, and that's how we got to all of these sections. But this, you know, trying to make it look real, because everybody's so close here. You can't have blend in the back like you have with some other theaters. You really have to have the detail there. And then trying to deal with the torches that actually are going to be running all night and flaming all night, and they had to look real. And so you really had to be very specific on that. What we wound up doing, because then the crypt scene, which was probably the most challenging because of all of the stone work, we had to, you know, hand carved all that stone. That stone is all hand carved.
Not only that, but everything on the set, if you saw it, the panels in the back, the columns, everything was hand painted.
Hand painted. We hand painted everything.
Yeah.
So even with these things that I had made, at some point, we had to paint onto them to make them look more 3D. But yeah, that's what we had to do, only because it became the Globe Theater. I thought it would simply be like a bunch of arches,
Yeah.
and a balcony, and look, we're good to go. We're good to go. But when all that wall space started showing up, I'm like, Gerard, what are all these walls? Well, you know, you got it up. Like, who's going to argue with Gerard, right? The brilliance of Gerard. So, you know, you had to become a lot more inventive and creative. We didn't finish the set until 3 p.m. the night we opened.
Yes, Ellen and I were at Lowe's at 8 a.m. Opening night to get the borders of those panels
That
that
were on the upstage
Yeah,
flats.
because we had tried several different ways of border, you know, different borders, and none of it was working. So,
No, none of it was working,
Yeah.
so I'm like, well, okay, I mean, if we have to eat the money, we'll eat it, but we had to have it on there.
Ellen had to have it.
We had to have it on there, and then we bought 2 jackets too, because they had sales on coats.
As long as we're there, it's fine. It's fine.
You know.
But yes, I think, and you know, again, going back to, as a director, most of you have directed, you know you're involved in every single thing, every breath those actors take, every shadow on the floor, every piece of paint, everything. The director signs off on that. And so at one point, one work day I missed, one. And they put up the trellis for the balcony for the house. And it was pink. I said, there's no pink in my world in Verona. There's no pink in this Verona.
We can paint it.
And so we spray painted those flowers black. Yep,
Yeah.
not all black, you know, spray, yes. Because in my vision of Romeo and Juliet, there's no pink. So Ellen was great, just adapting and rolling with it as we went along. But it really was a spectacular set. And the set changes, if you saw it, I call it the scene change ballet, because it had to be done. I had to sit down and choreograph all of it. So just like in the Globe, I had to research how the Globe did it, right? How they put on shows and because they had static sets. So I had to research, and so we had stations, is what we called them. And everyone backstage was involved in those stations, in moving the set. And I think that turned out really well, but it took a lot of work. And we got lucky with some things. So we had this great desk that Ellen provided, this great desk for Friar Lawrence, right? But we needed a chair. Couldn't find the right chair. All of a sudden, Lois pops up with the matching chair to this desk.
Well, we saw it on Facebook Marketplace, right? And I'm like, oh, and I write to the woman, and she's like, oh, well, Lois is my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, mother.
It was,
I'm like, oh, okay. And so we got the chair. I mean, it was
so
like,
there were a lot of things that happened where, we were just really, really lucky. Casting was a lot easier than I think we had envisioned. Again, Romeo and Juliet, you're gonna get people out. You really are. And we got quite a few people. I think out of the 14 that were originally cast, 8 were new members. And I think quite a few of them are planning on sticking around. So felt pretty good about that. Character development, I want to get into, before we wrap, I want to talk about the community aspect of this, but character development was really interesting. So I created a new character. Took a little license there. I created an Angel of Death character that sort of manipulated the events in this world. And Ellen played the Angel of Death. It was challenging because it was a new character that we created. We tried a lot of different ways to bring this character to life, and Ellen ultimately did an incredible job with it. But it was new, and where does she appear in the play? We knew that we wanted her, and Carol was my producer, so she was instrumental in all of these decisions. But we knew we wanted the Angel of Death in the beginning and the end. But where else does she come in? And we decided it was right before something terrible happened. So she would come onto stage in different roles. She played the apothecary, she played Friar John, she played a maid in Juliet's household, and she would appear as if she was manipulating events. So then once we got into character development, I could go on and on about this. It was so much fun. So character development, I make all of my actors write up backstories, right? And I don't want them to talk to each other before they do it because it's so interesting to see how they connect even though they've never spoken. Friar Lawrence and the Angel of Death were good and evil. That's how it came about. That they were, whether or not they knew it, they were fighting against each other. And that Friar Lawrence had some idea that she was there. And so if you saw it, that last moment with Friar John, played by the Angel of Death, she walked away and Friar Lawrence realized that it was her. So everyone really went with it. And I know Carol coming to me saying, the prince, I asked her to play the prince. She wanted to play it, and we weren't sure. Should we change it to princess? We don't know what to do. And we tried changing it to princess, but it ruined the scan. So she played it as an androgynous character. And I think it worked beautifully because who needs to, we don't need to call it one thing or another. And you had that great wig. Yeah. So I think we were very lucky with our cast. I think everyone really came through. But one thing the final thing I really want to talk about, and then I want to give you all a chance, but is the community that we brought in to this. So a couple of things. The artwork. I had a vision of what I wanted. If you saw the 2 skulls and the artwork. And I knew that Ellen's daughter was a tattoo artist, and I really loved her work. So I called her up, asked her if she would design it, and she did. And she designed the poster and the online artwork, and the banners, everything. So, pulling in people from the community that then she came to see the show, right, with her boyfriend, and she brought people in, and now she has, you know, this artwork that she can call her own. The rehearsal space. So, you know, we had about, how much, Mark? About a month, maybe 6 weeks, where we couldn't be in the theater after casting. Mark's friend has the dance space over in Englewood. Yeah, Progressive Dance Studios. We were able to rehearse there every night, and for free. And it was, I can't believe how lucky we were. But again, that's reaching out to people in the community. Costumes. So, long time ago, I'll say like 20-some years ago, I used to work in a theater in Queens, and Derek Tarson was in that theater with me. He's now the president at Elmwood. And so I reached out to him. I said, can we borrow costumes? And he said, of course you can. I've known you for almost 30 years. So reaching out, having that community, I think, is so important. And I just have 3 more examples. Fight choreography. This is a huge win. I was so excited. So I knew from way back when, maybe even when I lived in Minnesota in the mid-90s, I knew of this guy who did fight choreography, and he made it big, right? Now he does like Star Wars and Broadway and all this stuff. Well, I didn't know that he lived in Leonia until he commented on my poster that my post. He said, hey, Leonia peeps, go out and see this. And I thought, oh my God, he lives in Leonia. And we know the same people from way back when. I reached out to him. I said, will you do it for free? And he said yes. And it was truly amazing. If you saw the show, our fight choreography was incredible. And it's because I was able and willing to just ask the question, will you do it for next to nothing? And he lives in Leonia, so he was happy to support us. He knew someone that does intimacy coordination, and she lives in Cliffside Park. I called her up. I said, this is good publicity for you. Will you do it for gas money? And she said yes. So we were now able to pull in this intimacy coordinator to make those scenes safer, but at the same time more evocative. It just raised the level of our production. And then finally, back at that theater in Queens, almost 30 years ago, I met a man named Roger Studi, who I've remained friends with all this time, and he was our verse coach. He's an expert in Shakespeare. And so he came to 1 or 2 rehearsals and then had several Zoom sessions with every single actor to go through their verse. And I remember Ellen meeting with him and saying, is my Brooklyn accent a problem? And he said, no. Shakespeare wrote his plays to be performed by the people. And I just thought that was one of the most amazing things, but everyone benefited from his coaching. And again, he did it for free. So my point is that there is a community out there that we can tap into. And we all know these types of people. And so, it's a matter of not being afraid to ask, I think, and bringing in the people that we know, and who are willing to help and volunteer their time. That's really all I had. Anything to add?
I just wanted to say, I know it's a business, and I know we're here to make money and to raise, but theater starts from the moment you walk into the theater. So when you walked into this and you saw this set, it created an atmosphere. And I know we can do a little strip down with nothing here, but that doesn't show us off. That doesn't make people want to come back. When you walked into Death Trap, and you looked around, I know it was a pain in the butt when they moved all the seats around, I know. But when you walked in, you were like, wow, look at this. And you were interested in this theater, and you wanted to come back to this theater. And if you were an actor, you said, maybe I'll go audition at that theater. Claudia said this for a long time, we don't make the money really off the tickets. We have to get it in other sources, and that's very true. I understand we have to make some money off these. I get it. But I think what a show like this brings is when people come in who've never been in our theater, I think it makes them want to come back. And getting more people in the seats, that's a real problem. You know, that's something we have to, you know, talk about, you know, a fundraising committee. We need a publicity committee. We need someone, you know, we can't just pay someone $250 to throw some stuff. And Mark does amazing stuff for us in everything, but he's one person and he has a life. Do you have a life? Sort of. You know, but we need people who will somehow come up with creative ways, get articles in places, reach out and do stuff so that we get people in these seats. And that's really, really important. All we can do is do the show. But we need a committee also to get people in these seats. That's really important. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Anything to add?
I guess the only thing I would really add is, you saw the detail and the artistry we brought into the set and the various set pieces and things like that. A lot of the creativity, like we always have our general ideas of what we want, and I'm gonna do this today, I'm gonna do that today. But Steve could probably even, you know, also chime in on this, that on work days, changes and creative decisions get made because either something maybe isn't working the way you want it to work, or you've like, oh, I didn't think about that. And the people who are actually showing up for the work days to help get to make some of these decisions with you and help and pick out colors and learn technique and things like that. So I would tell the membership that come down on these work days, because it's not just, you know, screwing boards together. It's not just a meat and potatoes. This is all of the nuance that we add into the sets and into costumes and whatever we're doing on those work days. And it's a lot more fun. Yes, it's hard work, but it's a lot more fun and creative than you may otherwise think. And especially when the three of us do shows, there's really a ton of food. We always make sure you're fed.
That's true.
And you can do more than you think you can. Because every time I come down, I always say to Ellen, just tell me to paint something blue. You know, and she always gives me something, and I go, I don't know, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mess it up. And she says, you can't mess it up. And, you know, and you do it, and you look at it, and you go, look, I really did this. So you can do more than you think you can do. You know, you just have to have somebody kind of go, this is what I need. And you really can't mess it up, because if you screw it up, Ellen will just redo it.
I'll
And
just
doesn't
repaint
matter.
it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's not pink.
Right, no pink.
No pink.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's what it is that work days really can really be a lot of creative fun, besides just, you know, the nuts and bolts. It is. It's community building. We all have a
Yeah.
good time. We all, you know, the more people that come down, the more fun it is, and the better it is for the show. So, you know, let's bring in the members. Let's get people down to know that it can be a good time, besides work.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
Questions? Yeah.
What was it like to direct the actors, all of whom, none of whom are Shakespearean actors, and probably have no experience doing Shakespeare?
That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, quite a
Sean
few.
is like a Shakespeare teacher.
Quite a few have had experience doing Shakespeare, but there were some that were afraid, Mark, to take on a role in Shakespeare. But again, Shakespeare wrote for the people, and anyone can do Shakespeare. And I'm convinced of that. You just have to find the truth behind it, and then the rest will follow. And so for those actors that didn't have any experience, I had no concerns. We walked through it, we worked through it, we worked with Roger, and like I said, as long as you find the truth behind it. You know, I remember working with Mark on a scene, and the script said one thing, you know, when to stop, when to go, when to leave. And I just kept telling him, just leave. The words will stop you. Just leave. And it was hard, for him to just walk off the stage. But it's true. The other characters, their lines stopped him. And so that's, Shakespeare's very smart. And so if you trust the words, trust the language, anyone can do Shakespeare. But I really did have the best cast. So lucky. Alice included. Alice didn't have any lines, but she was an important part of our cast.
Well, I
Yeah.
just want to say this,
Yeah.
though, that a lot of those kids did have experience, but they were so dedicated.
Yeah.
And they were enjoying it, they were having fun.
Yeah.
I spoke to some of them, the young lady who played Juliet, she was just so nice to talk to. But just seeing them backstage and before the show, they were really in it. They were. And they were good.
Yeah.
They were really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I
I'm
really
glad.
did.
I'm glad, Alice. Yeah. Any other questions?
Hard undertaking.
Yeah, it was.
Shakespeare again?
Oh, yeah. I've done it before. I'll do it again. Yeah. Yeah.
Go team, go.
Yeah. Yes.
So what's on the list? Come on.
Again, it's got to be name recognition. I would love to do some of the lesser known, but I think, it's got to be Hamlet, Scottish play, something that people sort of know. Midsummer's done too much. What's that? I know, yeah. I've noticed that since we did ours, a lot of the theaters around here are doing Shakespeare now. So I don't know if we cracked the seal or what, but
I directed that.
Mary Wise is a great show.
yeah, there are so many great shows. Yeah,
Much Ado is now back, is going to be now back on Broadway.
love that. Yeah. Yeah.
I did Shakespeare with my 8th graders when I was teaching in New York. But what I did was I did Romeo and Juliet / West Side Story.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to read it, we read it together, discussed it, and made the comparisons. And the principal we did it a number of times because it went over so well.
That's great.
And again, the kids, they loved it.
Well, if you can get them to,
One of the girls wrote me
yeah.
and she said, I'm going into my first year of college. Years later, she said, I knew Shakespeare. I remember
Oh,
this
my
stuff."
gosh.
Yeah. So they were
well,
impressed.
and that was really one of my main goals, was to bring Shakespeare to people who weren't necessarily familiar with it, not the actors, but the audience.
Yes.
And we had a wonderful talk back after one of the shows. And I remember a couple sitting up in the back, and they said, we've never seen Shakespeare before. And we followed it, we loved it, we understood it. And that was really one of my main goals, was to make it accessible and ingestible, right? To allow people who have never seen Shakespeare or not familiar with Shakespeare to sit here and enjoy it. And I think we accomplished that.
And I think Shakespeare is one of those things where it's very visual.
Yeah.
So even if you couldn't keep up with the language, you knew exactly what was happening, who was saying what, you knew, and I think, the storytelling was just, Rachel's was just brilliant.
We did have some of those rehearsals where I said, imagine there are no words. I want you to tell the story. So they did have it in their bodies, because that was important to me. It's a good point, yeah.
What's one thing about the production that surprised you?
Well, the size of the set, number one, the number of candles and batteries for those candles.
Yeah, oh my God, I don't know, I think we had 60 I don't know. There was a lot of them, there was a lot of candles.
But something about the show, how beautiful it was. It was visually, and that wasn't me necessarily. That was Scout doing the costumes, Ellen and Gerard doing the set, you playing the prince, and the way you held yourself, and just everyone making certain decisions. I think it was visually just a stunning production, and that wasn't one of my goals, I guess. I was pleasantly surprised by how beautiful it is. The dancing, yes, the dancing. That was another thing. I asked Mark to choreograph the dance, and I told him I wanted it to be edgy, and they cannot touch, because right after the dance is when Romeo and Juliet touch for the first time. So he did a beautiful job on that. And then I found out that we had a young lady in the cast that could sing. So that's why I had the idea to have her sing quietly in the back while Romeo and Juliet do their thing. So we really tried to utilize everyone's talents. Lois provided the puppet that played Tybalt in the crypt. It was great. Everyone chipped in. It was, yeah.
Didn't you also sew my curtains?
Oh, yeah, the
For
bed
For
curtains.
the bed, the curtains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that was kind of fun, too.
Did you guys make that bed, or?
That was on it's one of my beds I had in storage. So we're using it again for desperate measures, so it's sitting quietly in the
Back
back.
in the green room. Yeah. That bed. That's a
We
whole
stripped it
other
down and
story,
we
okay?
finished it. I mean, it was.
The, figuring out how to store it and how to get it out, and that was a whole other thing that happened. Yeah.
I think it was, obviously you're builders, you know, Darman, but the balcony, it like, honestly, the first time I saw it scared me. I'm like, oh my God, because it's something that was just built, it's, you know, it was, but it was,
That could have held 1,000 pounds, that
and
balcony.
I'm not saying we couldn't, but like when you know the theater, you know, you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh my God, you know, so.
Yeah, it was nice because Danny, who played Romeo in the Broadway version, he hung like that, did a pull-up, and Danny really wanted to do that. And it was strong enough, did it, yeah, yeah. It was
One of the
great.
teachers that was in the school, she was from Russia, and she was an architect major or something, but she taught math in the school, and she made a balcony for us.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
For the fire escape and for the balcony.
Oh,
It was
nice.
beautiful. It really was. I mean, she was there with, you know, she knew what she was doing. 'Cause I was a little leery, but it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
Never forget
it's important to have a good balcony. Yeah, yeah.
And the main focal point in so many ways.
Yep, right, yes.
Character.
You know, it's funny you say that because at first I wanted it to be multi-use, right? I wanted the Prince to come up there and do her thing, but as we got, you know, closer or further along in the rehearsal process, I realized it's a character, and that entrance and that balcony can only be the Capulets' house. It cannot be used for anything else. I think we used it for the Angel of Death, but that was it. Because you're right, exactly right. It was a character, yeah, and we needed to keep it just for that.
And that's what we had decided as we started working on the trellis, saying,
Yeah.
okay, so this is going to set that up,
Yeah.
set that apart.
With
right?
the black roses, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm, yep. Yeah.
Final thought? Closing thoughts?
I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to do this, and in this space, and with my team and my friends and everyone that helped out. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And our cast party's on Saturday, so. I know, just the venue. I'm gonna talk to you about that, yeah. So, yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you, Marcy.
Thank you. Thank you.
There is, I believe, still.
Yes. Wait, before we go, Claudia, I just want, there's no video playing, but this is being recorded. Normally, we get 4 to 6 people that watch online when it's streaming. We have 26 people. The video froze at 11 minutes, and everyone stayed on listening to the entire meeting going into this wonderful chat side. I actually have a video of the entire thing, so it will go up on the site. Give me a day, and people can actually see this whole talk. Okay.